Good evening and welcome to Sky Night. The waning crescent moon is visible as a thin crescent low in the east before sunrise. It shines with an illumination of 5% while located in the constellation Gemini. Please enable captions in your preferred language to view local observing cities and times. Join us for a guided tour of the entire sky visible tonight. We begin the evening with Venus halfway up the southern sky, followed by Vega almost straight overhead. We then look to the southern sky for the Wild Duck Cluster, Albireo, and Altair. As the night deepens, the Dumbbell Nebula appears high in the south, and Deneb sits almost straight overhead, while Mars rises near the eastern horizon, and the Alpha Capricornids and Southern Delta Aquariids meteors streak halfway up the southern sky. Toward morning, the Moon joins Pollux and Mercury near the eastern horizon, and we find the Andromeda Galaxy and Merfolk almost straight overhead alongside Saturn halfway up the southern sky, with Perseids meteors high in the northern sky. We close the tour with the moon crossings by satellites. Look halfway up the southern sky for Venus, a dazzling silver-white planet that outshines every star. It is visible without any instrument and appears near greatest elongation. In Ray Bradbury's 1950 short story, The Long Rain, the author imagined Venus as a world where rain never stops, forcing a group of Earthlings to hunt for a dry sanctuary among endless downpours. In reality, the planet's surface is hotter than an oven and its clouds are made of sulfuric acid, so there is no liquid water to fall as rain at all. In London, you catch the planet at its last good view before setting at 9:15 in the evening, while New York follows at 8:30 in the evening and Los Angeles waits until 8:15 in the evening. Almost straight overhead, you will find Vega, the bright blue-white star that marks the top of the summer triangle. It climbs high for northern observers and is easily spotted on summer nights. Around 10:15 in the evening, this star reaches its highest point for Los Angeles, New York, and London, remaining above the horizon all night. In Carl Sagan's 1985 novel Contact and its 1997 film adaptation, it is from the star Vega that a mysterious radio signal of possible extraterrestrial origin is supposed to arrive. The character Ellie Arroway receives it. Tonight's featured deep sky object is the Wild Duck Cluster, a dense wedge of stars and scutum. Follow the Milky Way down from Altair to the Shield, where binoculars reveal a tight glowing knot and a telescope resolves its V-shaped flock. The cluster reaches its greatest altitude for Los Angeles, New York, and London around 10:30 in the evening. Its stars are roughly 250 million years old, and the brightest are already swelling into giants, so the flight of ducks is quietly breaking formation. High in the southern sky sits Albireo, the star at the foot of Cygnus's Northern Cross. While visible to the naked eye as a golden yellow point, a small telescope beautifully splits it into a gold and a blue pair. For Los Angeles, New York, and London, this star reaches its highest point around 11:10 in the evening, culminating at that specific moment. Albireo plays a poetic starring role in Kenji Miyazawa's 1934 classic, Night on the Galactic Railroad, which features an Albireo observation station, an image later carried into the celebrated 1985 anime film. Altair is the bright white star forming the low corner of the summer triangle. It spins so fast it is flattened at the poles and sits high in the southern sky, flanked by two fainter companions. Around 11:30 in the evening, this star reaches its highest point for Los Angeles, New York, and London, culminating rather than placing directly above the viewer. Altair is one of the few naked-eye visible stars close enough that astronomers were able to directly image its flattened, ellipsoidal surface. This was done using interferometry, similarly to the case of a Kerner. The Dumbbell Nebula is a green-tinged puff of gas riding the summer Milky Way in Vulpecula. Sweep binoculars or a telescope just north of Sagitta's Arrow, which points up from Altair toward this celestial smudge. The nebula culminates for Los Angeles, New York, and London around 11:40 in the evening, reaching its greatest altitude in the sky. In 1864, the pioneering astronomer William Huggins pointed his spectroscope at the Dumbbell Nebula and saw the bright lines of glowing gas, making it one of the first nebulae proven to be luminous gas rather than a swarm of unresolved stars. The Alpha Capricornids meteor shower is active now, though only 11 days past its peak. Look halfway up the southern sky in Capricornus and let your eyes wander off the radiant for the longest trails, with about 1 meteor per hour. For Los Angeles, New York, and London, the radiant reaches its highest point around 12:05 after midnight, culminating at that time. Deneb is a faraway blue-white supergiant marking the top of the Northern Cross in Cygnus. It stands almost straight overhead, completing the summer triangle with Vega and Altair. Around 12:20 after midnight, this star reaches its highest point for Los Angeles, New York, and London, remaining above the horizon all night. Deneb is one of the stars constantly visible in the Northern Hemisphere sky for most of the year. It is an important reference point for sky observers and astrophotographers photographing the nebula-rich area of the Milky Way in the constellation Cygnus. Mars rises low in the eastern sky as a steady orange-red point in Taurus and is visible to the naked eye. It rises at 1:25 in the morning in London, 2:05 in the morning in New York, and 2:21 in the morning in Los Angeles. Mars takes about 687 Earth days to orbit the Sun, so a Martian year lasts almost twice as long as a year on Earth, an important constraint for mission planning. We now turn to the crossings of Phobos and Deimos across the disk of Mars. Deimos makes its first crossing of the apparent disk of Mars, lasting 79 minutes. The event occurs between 8:22 in the morning and 9:41 in the morning for Los Angeles, between 11:22 in the morning and 12:41 in the afternoon for New York, and between 4:22 in the afternoon and 5:41 in the afternoon for London, with Mars standing above the horizon in all three cities. Phobos begins its sequence with a first crossing of the apparent disk of Mars, lasting 53 minutes. This transit takes place between 8:37 in the morning and 9:30 in the morning in Los Angeles, between 11:37 in the morning and 12:30 in the afternoon in New York, and between 4:37 in the afternoon and 5:30 in the afternoon in London, where Mars is above the horizon. Phobos executes its second crossing of the apparent disk of Mars, lasting 54 minutes. Mars remains below the horizon for Los Angeles, New York, and London. Phobos continues its sequence with a third crossing of the apparent disk of Mars, lasting 53 minutes. The crossing occurs between 2:56 in the morning and 3:49 in the morning for New York, and between 7:56 in the morning and 8:49 in the morning for London, with Mars above the horizon in both cities, while Mars is below the horizon for Los Angeles. The Southern Delta Aquariids meteor shower is active now, 11 days past its peak. Look halfway up the southern sky in Aquarius for about 4 meteors per hour, letting your eyes wander off the radiant for the best views. For Los Angeles, New York, and London, the radiant reaches its highest point around 2:20 in the morning, culminating at that time. The waning moon passes close to the bright star Pollux near the eastern horizon. This conjunction is visible to the naked eye as the pair rises together, with the moon closest to Pollux around 9 in the evening universal time. The pair rises at 2:52 in the morning in London, followed by New York at 3:39 in the morning and Los Angeles at 3:58 in the morning. Look near the eastern horizon to find the waning moon and Mercury forming a close pair within about 2 degrees. The naked eye can spot this conjunction, though binoculars may reveal extra detail. This event rises tonight and is visible right across the northern hemisphere. 4:27 in the morning marks the rise in Los Angeles, 4:13 in the morning occurs in New York, and 3:36 in the morning arrives in London. Locate the Great Square of Pegasus, a prominent asterism in the sky. From its corner, hop along 2 stars to find the Andromeda Galaxy, which appears as a faint oval smudge almost straight overhead. This great spiral galaxy is visible without any instrument, though binoculars or a telescope may reveal extra detail. The galaxy culminates for Los Angeles, New York, and London around 4:20 in the morning, remaining above the horizon all night. The light we observe from Andromeda today left that galaxy 2.5 million years ago, meaning we are actually seeing Andromeda as it appeared during Earth's Pleistocene epoch when early human ancestors roamed Africa. Locate Saturn in the constellation Pisces, halfway up the southern sky at an altitude of 48 degrees. This golden planet is visible to the naked eye as a steady, unblinking point of light that is fainter than Jupiter. Its calm yellow glow helps distinguish it from other celestial objects in the sky. Around 4:35 in the morning, the planet reaches its highest point for Los Angeles, New York, and London, culminating rather than placing directly above the viewer. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, possesses a dense atmosphere thicker than Earth's and is the only moon in the solar system known to have a substantial atmosphere and liquid hydrocarbon seas. Merfolk is one of the 50 brightest stars in the night sky, located in the constellation Perseus. To find it, follow the W shape of Cassiopeia and extend your gaze toward Perseus to locate its brightest point. This star is visible to the naked eye and appears almost straight overhead. In Los Angeles, this star stands highest at 5:40 in the morning, while New York and London follow at 5:25 in the morning and 4:55 in the morning respectively, remaining above the horizon all night. The constellation Perseus was named after the Greek hero Perseus, known for slaying the Gorgon Medusa and rescuing Princess Andromeda from a sea monster. However, the name of the star Merfolk itself has no direct connection to this myth. The Perseids meteors are active tonight, visible to the naked eye without any instrument. Locate the constellation Perseus high in the northern sky and let your eyes wander slightly off the radiant for the longest trails. The radiant reaches its highest point in Los Angeles at 5:40 in the morning, culminates in New York at 5:25 in the morning, and attains its greatest altitude in London at 4:55 in the morning, remaining above the horizon all night in all 3 locations. Tonight, 21 satellites cross the moon's disk, with 9 of those tracks passing close to towns and settlements, and 6 of those are presented here. Tiangong Space Station makes a crossing of the disk that takes only about 1 second for an observer standing on the narrow ground path. The ground path begins near BAM at 3:44 in the morning and ends near Gardas at 4:46 in the morning. The second of the night, Tiangong Space Station makes a crossing of the disk. The ground path begins near Lakhimpur at 4:12 in the morning and ends over Central Asia at 6:43 in the morning. The third of the night, International Space Station makes a crossing of the disk. The ground path begins near Gotsong at 4:28 in the morning and ends over the open Indian Ocean at 5:30 in the morning. The fourth of the night, the same satellite crosses again. Tiangong Space Station makes a crossing of the disk. The ground path begins southeast of Aqaba at 4:47 in the morning and ends near Ilam at 5:18 in the morning. The fifth of the night, the same satellite crosses again. International Space Station makes a crossing of the disk. The ground path begins near Indus Isles at 5:08 in the morning and ends over the open Indian Ocean at 5:09 in the morning. The sixth of the night, the same satellite crosses again. Tiangong Space Station makes a crossing of the disk. The ground path begins near Jiaodong at 5:09 in the morning and ends near Freyong at 5:11 in the morning. The total solar eclipse is arriving soon. We have already published our full guide, which covers the cloud outlook for observing sites, the sun's current activity, and safe observing tips. You can find the link in the description under this film. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for your nightly sky guide. See you next time and enjoy clear skies.